folks, we're back at the Ulster American Folk Park, and it's the Thanksgiving thing, so.
Yeah.
Hello. Oh, what a lovely fire.
Oh. I'm the poor woman.
And the potatoes.
But I'm not alone. A third of 8.2 million people before the Great Famine lived like this.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Wow.
We did.
Over a million died.
Yes.
Of starvation.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And well over a million managed to emigrate.
Yes. And some died on the way.
Yes.
Sad.
Potatoes, easy to grow,
yeah.
Nutritious, filling, over dependent on the one crop.
That's right, yeah. I was down at Leenane, and I was at this abandoned village, and the village hasn't survived, but it actually did survive the famine because they were able to get mussels and oysters and crustaceans from the coast.
That's right. Lucky if you lived near the coast, but if
you
were inland, you didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could fish.
That's right, yeah.
Not allowed. Landlord.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. So we'll move on. We'll see on the way back. Bye bye.
Terrible time.
Terrible.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
See you. God bless you.
Right, I'm at the school now. They still have the lights from Halloween.
There's nobody there.
It's open though, is it?
Yeah.
Skipping ropes and rings to play outside, and old-fashioned soap, Lifebuoy soap. Oh, that brings back memories. A one-room school. Cut out of a voice. I must listen back to that. Oh. We've come into the Irish side of the park, and this is the living quarters for the post office itself, which is in there. A small post office. Now, I have to go and find my friend here. But this is the area. We do see in the distance over there the military men, so we may see some guns. But they grow their own pumpkins here and corn and stuff. And for Halloween, there was that footpath, and there were scarecrows and some scary things in the cornfields itself. So I wasn't at the nighttime one, but I did film a daytime one, so. but there is a canopy over there and some soldiers, so we may see some firearms. But look at the size of those pumpkins. Using a Canon DX40, which is about 20 years old, and I haven't used it in a while, so I thought I'd bring it today. This is the cabin.
Just trying to get these here unstuck.
This is
Some
feeding.
food. How you doing? And a nice fire. You needed it on a day like today, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. And a little attic space up there.
Well, this is the first home that the Mellons came to whenever they settled here
All right.
in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. The basic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it would have been, you know, the way the gable wall is kind of the gaps in the gaps in
Yeah.
the timbers and that. It would have been like that, would it?
Yeah.
But the weather is probably warmer there
Yeah,
too.
of
isn't it?
course.
Yeah.
Pennsylvanian summers are lovely long hot summers, whereas in the winter, so that's why you need the air passing through in the summertime. But
Right.
then in the winter it'd be completely covered with furs to keep it warm.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
clever. Yes.
Oh, such a lovely fire.
Right.
I call this the Applejack House because there was a country singer that shot a music video from here. And so we're going to go in and have a look. Hopefully the fire is on.
So real. I wouldn't say that, you know, it's just ready for you to devour, shall we put
No.
it that way?
I know I picked up one of the potatoes in the first house and that they were plastic.
Well, I think our food's a wee bit more authentic looking
Authentic.
than those awfully strange shady yellow
Yeah.
those potatoes in the single room cabinet at the moment. But yeah, this is our Thanksgiving spread, and this wee house is our Thanksgiving base. Thanksgiving is a holiday which I suppose we would usually associate with you know, going way back to the first settlers, back to the 1620s, and a lot of Thanksgiving imagery that still persists to this day. You see images of these pilgrims sitting down for a feast with the native Indians to give thanks for surviving their first year in America.
Oh wow.
But Thanksgiving was a holiday that wasn't celebrated universally in America. You know, different states would celebrate it. It wouldn't be celebrated every year. The date would change and move around. But that all changed in 1863. So this, of course, was at the height of the American Civil War. And after a long public campaign to institute Thanksgiving as an official holiday, it was President Abraham Lincoln who declared it to be a national holiday. And the date was set for the last Thursday in November.
Right.
Now, today it's not celebrated on the final Thursday in November, it's the fourth Thursday. So for instance, we are currently in a November where there are 5 Thursdays.
Yeah.
And in 1939 it was President Roosevelt who declared that it should be on the 4th Thursday, because that would mean that the retailers, because of course retail and shopping is now so bound up with Thanksgiving.
That's right, yeah.
So it would ensure that the retailers wouldn't be missing out on a week of Christmas trading. So that's why Thanksgiving is always on the 4th Thursday in November. But you know, the sort of foods and the sort of traditions around Thanksgiving are largely unchanged since 1863.
Yeah.
You know, the turkey's always the centrepiece of the meal. You're giving thanks for the bounties of the year. So, you know, certainly in the 19th century, whatever you had successfully harvested would be given pride of place on your table. But, you know, things like the cranberries, the green bean stew, the succotash, pies, of course, are such a huge part of Thanksgiving, be they pumpkin pies, cherry pies, shoe fly pies. So it's a day to pause, to reflect, to give thanks, and to feast. You know, feasting is central to it all. And it's a rather nice holiday in the sense that it is largely a secular holiday. So it's celebrated by all, regardless of creed, colour, nationality.
Nice.
Everybody can
Yeah.
celebrate Thanksgiving. It's a very inclusive holiday
Right.
in that regard, which
Yeah.
is rather nice. I came across a book which has been on my bookshelf at home for a long time, Farm Festivals by Will Carleton. Will Carleton was a poet from Michigan, and he is very much a sort of rural poet. He writes poems about rural festivities, and I found that he had a rather lovely poem all about Thanksgiving, which I'll read you just a very small portion of.
Yeah.
I love poetry.
Well, hopefully you'll enjoy this. In lieu of any sort of Thanksgiving hymn. The President proclaims that thus his duty does direct. The Governor has written us unto the same effect. Now let the housewife's nets be cast, and all the poultry kind begin to realise at last for what they were designed. Now rob your fowl yards of their game, till tables groan anon, that they who eat may do the same a little farther on. Now let your clans of cousins meet, and talk their blessings o'er, and thank the Lord for what they eat, by eating all the more. Now let your industry's reward achieve a fair display, and hearts and stomachs thank the Lord, alternately all day.
Wow.
Which I think
Cool.
sums it up rather nicely.
Yes, it's lovely. Hop.
Hupp, H-U-P-P.
Yeah.
So the couple who lived here were Uriah Hupp. He was of German descent, although I think he was perhaps third generation in America. And his wife was Marinda Cox, and she had come originally from Ulster, or her people had come. So it's a nice example of how people from this part of the world were intermingling and mixing and marrying people from other countries. But maybe the nicest thing about this house is the fact that, if I show you this picture, because this is really quite a remarkable thing. Hopefully you can see that without too much of a reflection. So this is
Yeah.
a photograph, we think taken maybe in the 1890s.
Wow.
And it shows Uriah Hupp and Marinda Cox stood, or in Marinda's case sitting, in front of the veranda, just outside the front door there, but 3,000 miles away on the
Wow.
original site. So
That's amazing, isn't
it is. It's amazing to think that we're looking at a photograph of this particular house, but where it originally stood and with its original occupants.
Yeah.
And then on this wall, just to your left there, you can see another photograph from around the same time. So you can see Uriah in the middle and Marinda next to him. And these are 12 of their 13 children who were born inside this house.
Wow.
Wow.
So it's a remarkable thing to have.
Oh yeah, I've got the detail there now. Do you know that other photograph, the way it's, do you know the way it's kind of bleached?
Yeah.
You can actually scan it into a computer and you can actually darken it up nowadays, do you know? But I'm sure a copy of it is kept in an archive
Oh, it
somewhere.
is. The original will be. Aye.
Yeah,
I rather like the sort of sepia
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hues of that one.
that little building there has a little stream going through it, which acts as a kind of fridge, so it keeps meat and stuff cool. Over here we have some soldiers, so we're going to be talking to those, and we're going to be talking about guns. Hello, how you doing?
Are you back again?
I am. I'm back pestering
Never
you
stay
again.
away from this place.
I know, but you're, what can you do?
What do you do?
Good to see you.
Guns, yum.
Guns.
I'm gonna just,
You do the paranormal stuff as well then?
I do.
Right.
I do. That in 1911, yes?
It is, yes.
And you by the little thing at the back?
The wee seg, the safety. That's your naval coat.
All right, yes.
It's a bunt line. Bunt line's the extended barrel.
Right, yeah.
It's basically a selling piece. You want a pistol and you need a rifle. You don't want to carry a rifle. Bunt line. It'll get you that extra distance.
Legal in Ireland, but it was a long...
Well, no, we don't have that. We don't have that over here. That's England.
All right, yeah.
We have respectable firearms laws here. Sensible ones.
Yeah.
Sensible ones.
Yeah.
Uh,
I love the brass.
yeah. It was
They're
just a
beautiful
feature.
made.
They
aren't
were called naval Colts because the cylinder had an engraving of a ship.
Yeah.
They were never used by the Navy or sold to the Navy specifically. It was just the engraving.
Yeah.
Now, this particular one doesn't have it because we had to change the cylinder out.
Yeah. there's something about a revolver that's pretty cool. You know what I mean? Just the simple mechanism of
Yeah.
it. You know.
Now this is a Russian Nagant revolver,
All right.
and this is technically the only revolver you can put a suppressor on.
Right.
There's no such thing as a silencer because nothing deadens the sound of a gun.
Yeah.
It will suppress it.
Yeah.
Revolvers, you can't use suppressors as a rule because the explosion happens in this gap, so the noise comes out the gap.
That's right. Yes.
With an Nagant revolver, if you look at that gap, as the gun's cocked, the cylinder moves forward and
That's-
seals it.
That's right. Yeah.
So it seals the gap.
Yeah.
So it means you can have a cartridge with a lot less powder in it because you're not losing any of the force out of the side of
Yeah.
the cylinders.
It's interesting because the modern, the modern pistols have gone for a polymer
Yes.
frame with a metal slider on it.
Lightweight, yeah.
We have airsoft guns, and some of them, unless you look really, really close. to
Well,
them.
this is an airsoft. We bring this to let people feel the weight of a revolver.
Last week,
Right.
This is an airsoft model.
on eBay of a guy.
Oh yeah, where you load.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just have this so people can feel the weight.
And it's you
It's
know,
perfect. It's a 100% copy.
it is. It feels like the
Oh,
real thing.
the weight now is perfect. It's great.
Lynn, you have that one.
Which one?
This
Now,
one
you
here.
can't pick any of these up because these are all live firing.
Yeah. You have this one here, the 1911.
Yeah,
Do you know?
in the BB.
Mine is HK.
H&K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Do you know?
So that would be
I've been trying to find evidence.
let's see, move that.
And
That would be the main weapons, personal weapons of the First World War.
yeah,
So the Russian had the Nagant, Germans had the Luger, Americans had the 1911, British had the Webley.
3 years.
yeah.
And then
It's a very
That is a Webley as well. That's a 1905
didn't buy it.
Webley
Oh.
semi-automatic pistol.
I thought it was a single shot until I see
No.
the little mag
No.
at the bottom.
Regiment
7 rounds
portrait.
Wow,
of 32.
Skins cap
gee.
on the chair.
But it's amazing too that you know you have the airsoft gun there and it just looks like the real thing.
Yeah, that's they're
Now, as you know, regiment
some of the I don't know the particular manufacturer, I'm not into airsoft, but some of the manufacturers their weapons are brilliant.
Even the Chinese, we have their. Oh, I can't remember now what the name of them are, but I have a.
simultaneously
Sorry, 1 second.
a yellow and red.
I have an AK-74 from a cheap Chinese
Sorry, they're
manufacturer, but it's full metal.
Yes,
You know,
because of the
but
don't put me on video while I have these on.
no problem at all.
So this would be the development of bayonets.
Yes,
So you had your basic early socket bayonet. So it was just it fitted on the rifle,
And you
twisted
twist it,
around
yeah.
it. Now, on these muskets, these are not sights.
there is no standard.
It's just a lug for the bayonet.
that's right.
go on to.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's all it is. You did not aim these weapons. You pointed them in the general direction.
And hope for the best.
Yeah, they're smooth bore.
Yeah,
So because they're smooth bore,
Someone expressed an opinion about that.
The round?
Which was
it's actually smaller than the barrel, smaller diameter. It'll bounce around the inside of the barrel.
yeah,
Very inaccurate.
yeah, yeah.
Hence, when you watch films, everybody's lining up, facing
Yeah.
see each other.
right? As you can see,
It's so everyone can.
clearly doesn't.
I point at you. If I hit over here or over there, it doesn't matter. I've hit. That's the whole purpose of lining up so close to each other.
Yeah.
To give each side a chance to actually have effective weaponry.
Yeah,
So that'll bounce. This would be the next development.
yeah,
Now this is now a lug for the bayonet and the sight. So you now aim this weapon. This is rifled.
right.
So there's spirals cut inside
That's right.
the
yeah.
weapon.
And then magically this.
That imparts a spin. So if anything's spinning, it's more stable.
Aye, so it
Now,
doesn't,
the problem, these are muzzle loaders. And for a bullet to catch the rifling, it has to actually engage and sink into the rifling.
Right.
the bullet either has to be exactly the same size, which means it's a bugger to load,
Yeah.
really, really
A tight
lot of
fit.
effort. Or if you're a French artillery officer, you design something like this,
They also said,
a Minet. And see this wee hollow here?
yes,
When the explosion in the main charge, that expands,
Yeah.
that grips the rifle.
Oh yeah.
So you can put a bullet of a smaller diameter easily down the barrel,
so pleased.
but when it expands, it grips the rifle on the way out.
And it, more of the
It will now
energy,
spin.
more
It'll
of
now
the
spin.
energies behind it too.
And it's stable, so you can now aim it at something.
Yeah.
Fantastic invention for weapons. But again, these are muzzle loaders. So
Yeah.
this is 1853 pattern. Towards the 1860s, they started to develop cartridges. Now, a brass cartridge, I should say.
All right.
So these are brass cartridges, right? A brass cartridge has its ignition, a primer. It'll have the powder contained inside, and
Yeah.
it'll have the lead ball
The
or
lead.
the lead bullet
On top.
on top. So that'll go like that,
Yeah.
right? Now, sorry, just get this one out. So this is a Schneider cartridge.
Right.
Schneider rifles were a 3-band Enfield. 3-band Enfield's got 3 bands,
Right.
okay?
You've never
And
had to do with that. The public order unit,
they cut a lump out of the breech. So they cut that out. So you can now open this.
All right.
You take your brass cartridge, put that in,
scattered across.
close it, it's now ready to fire.
Yeah.
Pull the hammer back. When the hammer shoots forward, it depresses this wee pin. That pin, in turn, sorry, if you just focus there, that shoots the firing pin out the front.
All right.
That ignites your cartridge, bang,
And away you go.
it's ready to fire again.
That
Open it up, pull that back, it helps eject the cartridge, tip it over, you're ready to go.
Yeah. That's in lovely shape, that one.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is now, that is. But, so that would be your progression. There's another one buried under all that there which I haven't got out,
Oh, I
which
see
would
it,
be
yeah.
the Martini Henry.
Yeah.
So the film Zulu.
Right.
No, you couldn't grab the rifle out of the case, sir. There's still one in the case.
Great.
If you don't mind.
It's fresh, isn't it? You'd want to be moving about.
Ah, Martini Henry. How could you keep this in the case? The star of the show.
I need to make another stand. So, this is now the first truly designated rifle. So this wasn't a chop job like the Schneider.
Yeah.
This was made. It's a breech loader. So
Oh,
you pull that
yes.
handle down. You now have access to the breech.
Yeah.
Slide that wee ramp. Directs the cartridge. Slide it in. Pull that up. It's ready to fire.
All right.
This little point here is a cocking indicator. So if you pull your finger or your thumb down like that and feel that,
Yeah.
it's ready to fire.
All right. Yeah.
We'll just decock it. So that there's no bullet in it.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it. So I know she's empty or it's
Ah.
fired. So this particular model is 1878
Wow.
and it's in lovely condition for its age.
Yeah. It's the simplicity of it that makes them last. You know.
I'm sorry. That's the cartridge.
It's a pretty big round, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
578.
Right. Yeah.
Now, not only is it wide, it's extremely long.
Yeah. I've seen that too. Yeah.
These are wee grooves for grease. That because we're still in black powder era,
Right.
helps to clean, lubricate the barrel,
Yeah.
stops the build up of black powder.
All right. Yeah.
So
Wow.
there you go.
Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. More than. So basically, he's taken the cartridge. He's tore the top. He took the cartridge. He's tore the top off the cartridge. everything's now getting rammed down the barrel.
Yeah.
We ram it all home. If he rams it, it contains the explosion, it makes it stronger.
Right.
He also uses wadding, be it grass or paper. This means if he's shooting down a hill, the ball that's a smaller diameter can't roll out, can't
Yeah,
dislodge.
right.
It keeps it in place. He now pulls the hammer back to half cock, which is a safety feature of these weapons.
Yeah.
He takes finer powder and he primes the pan, so he pours it into the pan.
All right.
He will then close the frizzen that keeps the powder in place, but also its face then becomes a steel in which to help the spark when he hits it with the flint.
Right.
I've always been having a plan of it, putting a small pack on the left side. So
So he goes to full cock.
Yeah, I'm going the other
Ready?
put it on your back.
Fire! Now that's a misfire.
Yeah.
What happens is
It's on my
black powder loves moisture. It just
Yeah.
soaks it up.
Yeah.
It soaks it up from the air, it soaks it up from everywhere. If there's moisture on the steel, now he is getting a spark,
Yeah.
so that means maybe he's going to reprime or... Problem with these weapons, they're extremely unreliable,
Yeah.
but both sides' weapon was unreliable.
Yeah.
That's why the development of the percussion cap came in.
Yeah.
It kept the ignition system in the weapon as opposed to outside to the elements.
You're not bringing this up to me, I
Nope.
No.
getting a spark, but it's not going.
Hang on,
See a spark okay?
yeah, sorry, just here. Try that stuff.
Whoa. Nice.
Now, 3 rounds a minute
Yeah.
is more or less the average. But the more you fire that weapon, the harder it gets to reload because
KFS.
the black powder leaves a residue inside the barrel.
Right.
It gets harder to ram.
Yeah.
There's also, the barrel will get hot very, very quickly.
Yeah.
There's a chance of spontaneous combustion when you're loading it.
All right. Yeah.
Hence, when you load it, the rifle is pointed away from your face
Yeah.
because as you pour the powder down, it can
It
ignite.
could. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not a nice weapon to fire constantly.
Yeah. I'd say even worse on a rainy day or
On
whatever.
in a rainy day, and some of the earlier battles would have been cancelled by
Yeah.
mutual consent.
Yeah.
Because if you were landed gentry and you'd spent thousands of pounds kitting out your regiment in the best of gear,
Yeah.
you wanted to see your guns working.
Yeah.
So you contact the other landed gentry and go, it's raining today, but we'll come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mutual agreement would have.
Yeah.
Same with the uniforms. The British red coat uniform,
Yeah.
you will hear, oh, the red coat, that's to cover the blood and all. It's a load of
Right.
rubbish. Red was one of the cheapest dyes available,
All right. Yeah.
which
Gee.
is why the British adopted the red coat.
Yeah.
Prior to that, whoever raised the regiment, whichever gent raised
Yeah.
the regiment or paid for the regiment, could pick whatever he wanted them to wear.
Right. Yeah.
One of the reasons uniforms got so gaudy was because if you could kit your men out in white tunics,
Yeah.
you were showing how much money you had.
Yeah.
So you come along and go, right, well, I want a white tunic, but I want gold braid
Yeah.
because I have more money than you.
Yeah. Gee.
Which is why uniforms of the early 1700s and late 16 were so gaudy, and
Yeah.
you wanted to
Showing
be able
off.
to see them in the fog of the gunpowder.
Yeah.
But it was to show off.
Yeah.
It was to show, look how much money I have.
And now it's more sort of
Yeah, not be seen. Yeah.
camouflage sort of
Hence the
thing.
First World War uniforms. We're now getting khaki, which is dirt.
Yeah.
Coloured, I think it's Indian for dirt or
Yeah.
mud or something like that. So you're getting the khaki uniforms. And that only happened because the British used to wear white
Yeah.
work uniforms.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult to keep clean
Yeah.
in the hotter climates.
Yeah.
So they started to dye them, I believe either with tea or curry paste. And
Right.
give them the colour.
Ah. Gee.
Then they were adopted. So
Yeah.
the British went into the First World War with their experience in the Boer War.
Yeah.
Because
Gee.
they were still wearing red at the beginning of the Boer Wars.
All right. Yeah.
So they were getting picked off by the...
I'm sure that stood out like a
Afrikaans.
sore thumb. Yeah. Gee.
So that's why they started. They went into the war with khaki, as
Yeah.
opposed to the French, who still had their sky blue and the red pantaloons.
Yeah.
The Germans had their field grey,
Yeah.
which the field grey can vary from a grey to a green to there's a whole variety of field greys.
Yeah. Thanks very much for
You're
the.
welcome.
That was very detailed and stuff.
You're more than welcome.
Nine months and 10 days, I think, after they hit American soil, the man who built this house, his second son, was born.
Yeah.
And he built this house around 1825, right beside the stone cottage of his parents, to try and attract a wife. It's a
Yeah.
more upmarket house, made of bricks.
Bricks, yeah.
And he got his wife and he got many children. A lot of them died, probably about half died in infancy.
Right. I didn't know about that.
There's a lot of them listed, but you tend to find dates wrong. It'll list somebody of a name, and he was born in 1830.
Yeah.
He wasn't married in 1831, so
Yeah.
I don't think so. He also had little dalliance with a slave girl he owned. They were slave owners.
Yeah.
The father was listed as owning several slaves. I think it was 11 was the figure. In 1850, the census showed 57 slaves here, which put them in the top 5% in Tennessee.
Gee.
Yeah, and I think that actually grew up until about 1860, maybe up to about 70.
Yeah.
The slaves, the father wrote that they were never to profit from the sale of human flesh. They were never to sell them off for anything.
Yeah.
After the Civil War, they did fight on the side of the Confederacy. They freed their slaves.
Yeah.
In 1885, there was still 5 of them living here. There are black people in that area who were of slave descent, who are actually blood relations, because some of the men were doing.
That's right. Yeah.
And they had children.
Yeah.
They also had them christened.
Yeah.
They were Catholics, so whenever the priest came around, there would have been very, very small Catholic population in that area, so a priest would have travelled all around the place. When he came, he held mass in both the old house, which is it still survives. It's in historic Bledsoe's fort over in America, just
Right.
about a mile and a half from where it originally stood.
Yeah.
And we got this house in 2008. So mass was held in both houses, and all the slaves were christened. And when they were christened, they were given the surname Rogan.
Right.
So that's why there's so many black Rogans.
All right.
Some of them are blood relations and some are not. They're
Right.
just ex-slaves.
I didn't know that. Yeah. And I was told that it was a big process to bring the house here. The glue is still on the bricks outside.
The
where
wee white marks is still on the
it's
bricks.
like
yeah.
it was like paint by numbers kind of thing, and the quarantine process and stuff like that. And then a lot of the staff was telling me about the paranormal activity, the sounds of children, the footsteps upstairs.
You hear the footsteps, and there was one day I was sitting here, and it came from sort of upstairs above the parlour there. There is only 4 rooms, 2 bedrooms, the parlour, and this is the dining room.
Yes.
The kitchen was separate, and this house was joined to the old house with a wooden sort of building in between, out that door, and there would have been an end door. The white chalk mark in the ground is like a rectangle. That's where the original house sat that was joined to this. The other one that's over there.
Yeah.
But the noise in there, I was sitting here one day and it just sounded like that loud. And I actually thought something's happened upstairs. I thought something like a bed had collapsed or something.
Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing in there, nothing in here, nothing up there.
Yeah.
So
It's hard to know, because you've got the possibility that it spurts from the house, spurts of the kids or whatever, or it could be the energy of the kids embedded in the stone, called stone tape theory. It's like in certain conditions it can play back.
Right, yeah.
So it can play back in the fibres of the wood and the stone and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They call it stone tape theory. I don't know if there's much of a theory. Theory has to have some sort of facts attached to it. I don't know there's an awful lot of facts to it,
Aye.
but it explains some, you know, one of the possibilities kind of thing. But it's kind of strange that it was all taken apart and then put back together, and you still have that activity and stuff.
Well, even the wood came from Tennessee. That's why the ceilings have cracked. You know, it's a dry climate there.
Yeah.
So when they brought it here into our damp climate, they re-plaster. It's all new plaster. And then the wood starts to bend and twist and all the cracks came. And then they had to put whatever resin it is in the cracks to stop the whole lot falling on us.
Yeah,
So
gee.
the furniture as well. I think it's only the odd bit. I think it's, this chair here isn't original.
Right.
But everything else, and maybe the bench out there, is only two things that aren't original to that area. The only thing that's original to the house is the wee writing bureau in there.
Yeah.
All the rest is from the 1820s from Sumner County in Tennessee.
Yeah, just go along with the era and stuff like
The
that.
houses were empty, you see, sat empty for many years. The family lived in it till 1920, about 1920, and then it was a Dr. Bleasley bought it, his family still owns it till today. Vandals were trying to burn the houses down. They were very remote, nobody even remembered them in the 1990s being lived in, so it was a historic association over there that says, he's one of the founders, you see, of Tennessee.
Yeah.
Says that Hugh Rogan's house has to be preserved, and they got the old house, that's why we don't have it, and
Yeah.
we got this one.
All right.
We
Yeah.
got it, took from 2008 to about 2010 to dismantle it and transfer it over.
Yeah. 2008 to
Yeah.
2000.
And then it had to be built, and then
Yeah.
2012, I think was the date that it opened.
Yeah.
But do have a look around, go upstairs.
I will. Yeah. It's kind of weird. It's strange that, you know, a lot of the staff members are experiencing the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, a lot.
Women.
Huh?
Mainly women, although there is more women staff here than men.
Yeah.
But mainly when the women come in here, they all say, "Oh, that's a creepy place." Things I could hear the footsteps and laughing and.
I wouldn't be. Then again, I'm not scared of very many things.
Maybe it
But
is.
you know, when they say when the people mention the paranormal and that, they like to associate it with scary stuff because the TV programs, there's always a demon in the basement, all this bullshit. Most of it is actually positive. And it's something, if you experience something, you know, something moving in front of you that shouldn't move, that's going to stick in your head for.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And there was I was staying in a big sort of a mansion when I was younger. I was still in secondary school, and a number of us experienced a girl outside in an old-fashioned nightdress crying.
Yeah.
And you'd think you'd be terrified, but you're just going, what's going on? You know, that kind of way. And to this day I'm wondering, what actually happened in that situation, kind of thing, you know? But nobody was terrified.
That's good.
You know, there were more. Some could hear it, and some could see it, and some couldn't actually see it or hear it. And it was right. We were upstairs, we were up and down. So we decided to go out. I decided I was too scared to go out, so I decided I'll keep an eye on her. And there was two different doors. One group went one way, the other group went the other way, and it was an enclosed courtyard. They went down, they met in the middle, and they're looking up at me, and I just kind of went like that for a second. She was gone,
Right.
and then they were going. All I got to say, where? You know. So I don't know.
Well, everything seems to be upstairs.
Yeah,
So.
nothing to worry about, though.
No, I don't be worried.
No, I wouldn't worry about it at all. You know. You know.
I must get my phone. I've been charging my phone here for, it seems to be forever.
Oh, you have electricity.
Yeah. We have heaters and stuff that has to run here, you see, all day. That's what it costs so much. The heaters, there's a heater in every room.
Yeah, I
Electric
noticed the condensation on the windows. All right.
Yeah.
This would be a damp area too because of the hills outside.
The basement is actually flooded. I opened the doors one day and it's completely flooded. That's why they had to close it. It was initially going to be open so you could walk in.
All right.
And within a week, they says it flooded that much, they couldn't pump it out quick enough.
So no demons in the basement.
No demons. Unless a water demon.
Hey, you water demon. I'm going to go upstairs and have a look there. smoke is even up here. What was that? That's the solid floor. There was a noise in that corner. Just in this corner. Now it could have been an expansion of heat or whatever, but there was a loud noise in that corner, but the floorboards don't seem to be moving. Very smoky up here now.
This has been leaking in my pocket soaked.
Oh, that's not an uncomfortable bed. Just leave this here for a few minutes. Is that you? The cradle, she'd moved the cradle to just mess. If there's anybody up here today, got a device on the dresser here, and if you speak, your voice can be heard. I didn't see you moving your foot there. If you speak, your voice can be heard on our device. So feel free to give us a message if you have one. Feel free to talk. My name is Sam. Could you tell us what your name is? It's very smoky up here, isn't it? But they are big spaces.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm saying it's big because I'm in a small, tiny apartment. We should just touch that. Place for stone. This is kind of a doorknob. Oh, really leather soles. Well, they'll actually have a right and left on those. We used to get our shoes resoled and stuff.
Yeah.
Now we just buy new ones.
I used to get my heel then sold.
Yeah. Go grab the camera. Pretty smoky up here. I do paranormal investigations. This isn't one of them. It's just I decided I'd call out, and seeing as there is experiences here, nothing to be scared of them. From the reports I got from other people, mainly upstairs. Take a few photos. Oh, nice big fire. And the broom and everything. Lovely. Very basic. These type of brushes and that kind of broom, when I worked in a hotel, my boss's wife insisted on those because with ordinary brushes it's very hard when you go to, that's what she's glued to the thing, to get into the corners. The spinning wheel. With top hat. Nice big wide doors and stuff. There you go, the Rogan House.
Let's get out walking because she'll get cold too quick.
The soldiers are over there. It's very quiet today. And
Which side is the barn? That side.
that's the barn over there. There's the Pennsylvania House. There's turkeys over here. Right, let's go. Oh, I forgot to slip them with the key in. Ah. Right, go. And the turkeys is in here. And ducks and stuff. There we go.
1,500 people on the Sunday. Then we had like 600 on Saturday. Monday. And we had 900 on Tuesday. See, the barn dancer, there was probably about 150 in the barn and outside of it that wanted to get the name. But they had the whole place decorated.
There's the Pennsylvania House.
Cabin, and then they started to build, and after another 3 years they had completed what you see up round the corner, the smokehouse, the spring house, the Pennsylvania style farm house, and he said after 7 years in America, Mr. Mellon said they had as fine a house and barn as any was already there, and he said they were starting to accumulate wealth, all within that short period of time.
Yes, yes.
Now today we're celebrating Thanksgiving. We have a wee sample of pumpkin bread. You're welcome to taste it. And this is the second house.
We're at this house. Oh, fucking hell. Ooh. That was a heavy one, no, that was. There's a weaver's sign. Where's me light? There it is. This is from the cabin house, they built this house. So this is the bigger house. Do you know? a more sufficient house with big massive, and they're big hinges. I'm going to go upstairs and then finish downstairs. A stone fireplace. Most of that is actually wood. There's plaster in between. It's beams of squared off wood with plaster in between, kind of thing. I do. It's the candle making.
Hello there, sir. How are you?
Good, yourself?
I'm good. And where are you from?
Banbridge.
From Banbridge. Not too
Yeah.
far away.
No.
Have you been here before?
Yes. Yeah.
Very good. Well, you're welcome to what we call the Pen House, the Pennsylvanian Log Farmhouse. Bit of a mouthful. So we abbreviate it down. But this house is not an original. Now, most of the buildings that you're going to see after this are original buildings, but the reason this is a copy is because the original still stands in Pennsylvania, and it's still in use, and we weren't allowed to bring the original over, so we had to make do with a copy.
Yeah.
And the reason we went to the bother of copying it is it's a copy of the second home that the Mellon family moved into once they became established. Now, you may have heard from some of my colleagues, sometimes depends who's telling the story, which bits you get of it. But whenever they reached the port of Derry, Londonderry, the Mellon family, Andrew Mellon, Thomas's father, fell ill to the point of dying. And it meant that they had to stay in a lodging house for about a month.
Yeah.
Now that's kind of equivalent to us, you know, being abroad somewhere and having to stay in a B&B or hotel for a month in an unplanned way, and the cost of that. Plus they had to pay for a doctor and medicine as well.
Yeah.
And that meant that before they'd even left the country, it had ate into their funds very substantially. So by the time they reached the part of Pennsylvania they were aiming for, where their family had already got settled, they were unable to outright buy the piece of land the family looked out for them. And so they had to do what folks do today. They had to take out a loan from the bank, what we'd call a mortgage. Not as long as the ones that folks pay for today. It was 4 years. So it doesn't sound too bad, sure, does it?
Yeah.
However, in the period they were paying it off, there was what we'd call in modern terms a financial crash, and the dollar lost its value. So they could no longer pay the loan off with cash. So what we're going to do? Well, according to Thomas's autobiography, they paid with linen sacking. Now this is very interesting because we've no record of them being weavers when they were in Ireland. However, most farming families would have had a working knowledge of flax.
Yes, yeah.
And they had enough knowledge to produce a coarse linen cloth. Not the very fine stuff that was coming out of Ireland, but it had its own value, because most things were moved around the world in either wooden barrels or linen or hemp sacking. And so they were actually able to produce enough of this to continue paying the value to the bank. Now it's extremely labour intensive. If you know anything about linen, it's brutally hard work. So on top of trying to establish a new farm and a new country and all the other knowledge that they had to pick up, this was a real extra burden on them. And had they not had that knowledge, they would have lost everything. Fortunately, they had the knowledge, and at the end of the 4 years, they got it paid off successfully. And into the 5th year, then they asked the community to come together and help them to build a new barn. That meant they could protect their livestock better in the winter period. And then in the 6th year into the 7th, they asked the community to come back and help them to build a new house. Now the house is interesting because it demonstrates one of the new things that coming from Ireland, or indeed England or Scotland, we had to learn, and that was a different building material. Because nearly everything, particularly in rural areas in Ireland, is built stone, field stone, not
Yeah.
even quarried stone, just field stone. Whereas out here, the most abundant material was timber. Now, even if you had a bit of timber on your land at home, you were not allowed to cut it down. It belonged to the landlords.
Right.
So most folk hadn't even wielded an axe before, never mind, use the timber. So over here you have an abundance of it, and really high quality stuff, white oak and mahoganies and all these really good hardwoods. How do you work it? How do you cut it down? I'm sure you guys know if you cut a tree down wrong, somebody could get hurt. Certain timbers work well for particular jobs, and so on. Well, in his autobiography again, Thomas mentions that some of their neighbours were what's called the Pennsylvania Dutch. They weren't actually Dutch, they weren't from Holland, they were from Deutschland, from Germany. And the Germans excel, even to this day, in building large wooden structures. And especially in the climate where they have a hot summer and a very cold winter, which we weren't used to. We wouldn't have that. So whenever all the community would come together, that kind of knowledge was shared. And so the Mellon family ended up building a German-style house.
Yeah.
And that's why we wanted to demonstrate what this looked like, because the different nationalities brought different skills that were shared. And it was a great time for the women folk when you had the community come together, because we led a very isolated life compared to back home. It was a great time to share knowledge about really crucial things, so things like herbal medicines. Whereas at home, Ireland and Germany as well were both overpopulated in the early 1800s. And that meant you'd people everywhere, you couldn't get away from them. Over here, it was, as I say, a very isolated life. And for the women folk particularly tied to the house, you mightn't see folks for, weeks, maybe months on end. So when you got together, learning things like this, because if somebody breaks a leg, gets an infection, and you can't treat it, chances are they're going to die.
Yeah.
And another thing then, herbal medicines, you also had to learn to hunt using a gun out there, which you can understand the gun culture in the New World, because out here not only is there an abundance of food running about in the woods that you didn't have at home, you couldn't use at home anyway, but you've also very dangerous animals, wolves and cougars and bears and snakes, things that, again, we weren't used to. So you have to get used to not just killing them, but using them. They said if you killed a wild pig, the only thing you didn't use was the oink. So if you didn't eat it, you made something with it. And to illustrate the point, we have our antler here. So you think, well, what do you use an antler for? In prehistoric times, there are different things, but you think at this time, what would they use it for? Well, wee man like this would be learning all sorts of all sorts of things. Never would you have heard the words in this house, I'm bored.
I'm sure, a job for.
So for example, if anybody got toggles on your on jackets, that comes from the end of an antler. So you cut off the tip of the antler and you get the kids to bore the holes. You would slice it then and bore holes, you can make buttons. You find and you can make spoons. Take that part there, you can make the handle for a knife. There was endless things that you could make from things out here. Things that you'd have never thought of, doing at home. From the fat inside the skin, then you could make things like candles and soap. You would seal jars. Now they wouldn't have had glass jars, they would have been earthenware jars like these, but just to demonstrate, as I mentioned, preserving foods. That would have been this time of year, we'd have been flat out preserving as much food. Because we're going to be snowed in. We all complained about lockdown, didn't we? But this was a literal lockdown, snowed in for 2 or 3 months of the year. So if you didn't have enough food preserved, our family just wasn't going to survive. So sugar water for fruits, salt water for vegetables, and seal it with animal fat, and that'll make it airtight. So there was endless things to do and learn and so on out here, to be self-sufficient. And if you didn't learn fast and you didn't work hard, you were not going to survive. It was as black and white, isn't it? So it gives you an idea of a little bit of life and what it was like in
Yes.
these homes.
Is this a beaver pelt? What is this?
No, that's just a small red deer.
Oh, okay.
Beaver pelt has a very specific feel. That's very coarse.
Yeah.
But we might, one of our trappers, or one of the guys that does trapping, is out at the next building, so
Right.
you can ask him if he has his beaver skin.
Okay.
I had to go for my backup camera here. We're in the American side of the
lost my pal. 15 miles on the Erie Canal. I like to see you move good as myself. 15 miles on the Erie Canal. A friend of mine once got her sore. Now he's got a broken jaw. She let it fly with an iron toe and kicked him back to Buffalo. Low Bridge, everybody down. Low Bridge, yeah, we're coming to a town. You'll always know your neighbor and you'll always know your pal if you ever navigated on the Erie Canal. Low Bridge, everybody down. Low Bridge, yeah, we're coming to a town. You'll always know your neighbor and you'll always know your pal if you ever navigated on the Erie Canal.
Yeah, I think that's why you've got, like just down the road, there's the Melon Country Inn, and then there's the Melon Farm as well. I think it's all, the family just owns all this land around here. I don't know if the family still owns the land.
Yeah.
But they would have been the family that would have owned everything around here.
Yeah, because we heard the story from the farmhouse, the Pennsylvania farmhouse, that Mr. Mellon was a private banker as well, I think.
That's right, yeah. That's right.
So we're in the private bank and there's a creepy...
Yeah, I don't think that's Thomas Mellon, but...
it would be scary if he turned around and looked at you now.
Yeah, he doesn't say much.
No.
He's not great company.
But if he did say much, he might be taking it out of it.
Yeah. I forget about the guitar and everything.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that, just run.
Not the company you really want.
No, not really. Yeah,
No.
good point. It'd be like Doctor Who.
So a weird kind of a stove too. It's kind of like the heat is all goes up into that cylinder there, and it's like a big radiator.
I wasn't even aware that that's a stove.
It's cool.
Well, it's cold, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Badge.
It's a wee...
No, it's very apt.
Oh, it's got a kind of a hingy door on it.
Is this your first time at the pub block?
No, I've been coming here bringing my kids. They're all men now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking they're sick looking at us at this stage.
Been coming
We're
here
here.
for donkeys years.
Yeah. It is a great place. I would love coming here.
Yeah, we were here at Halloween and
And 4th of July.
4th of July, that's right.
But I used to come on Cultural Day and all sorts of things.
There's a plastic horse and a carriage of some kind. And there's a creepy mannequin looking out at us down from up there, look. And there's
That's a woman.
yeah,
Woman who just hung out the washroom.
yeah. And this is the tunnel to the ship. You go out through the ship and then you end up at the dock, basically. So a lot of wooden barrels, isn't it? Yeah, so mine. We're at the American side of the town, basically. There we are.
Fashion clothes with muskets and...
Yeah.
Did you not know that?
No. Oh, these are the picture frames, and you go and you stand behind it.
Oh, right.
Do you know?
Yeah.
No, basically, you become the picture.
Are you filming?
Yes. Oh, it's electricity. There's a general store. Hello. All sorts of earthenware jars.
Yes.
Chairs.
You would need.
Brushes. All sorts of stuff. Stuff for cooking. Everything. Folks, we're going to finish up now. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed that look around the Ulster American Folk Park. I will leave a list at the end of this video of other visits to this park, like Halloween and stuff. So until the next time, bye. We've got a bit of music to finish with.